Timeout. Sun.
Looks like she's in pain after that pass. She had been dealing most recently with a groin injury.
What began as a joyful celebration at Boston's TD Garden quickly took a turn for the worse. The Fever had just secured their third consecutive victory over the Sun, sparking excitement among the fans. But then, Caitlin Clark suddenly appeared to be in pain, favoring her groin and limping off the court. Cameras captured her emotional moment on the bench, tears streaming down her face. This injury hit especially hard since it involved the same groin area that had kept her out before. What adds to the frustration is that the referees seem to let the rough play targeting her go unchecked throughout the season, not only against Clark, but the entire Indiana Fever team. Stephanie White didn't hold back in her comments either. What surprising remarks did she make about the WNBA officials? Drop your well wishes for Caitlin's recovery in the comments. Let's keep the support going.
No update. No, just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
Yeah, just kind of to follow up on that, looked like she was kind of grabbing at her right groin area. Is that the concern?
Yeah, if that's the one she was grabbing at. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I mean, that's it.
Imagine the atmosphere inside TD Garden. The energy was through the roof, but not for the Connecticut Sun, the designated home team. Instead, it felt like Boston had been taken over by Fever fans. Every section was packed with Indiana supporters, loudly cheering and chanting for their squad, as if they were the home crowd. The rallying cry of "Let's go Fever" reverberated throughout the historic arena. What was meant to be a home court advantage for Connecticut quickly shifted to feel like a home game for Indiana. The Fever controlled the game, securing an 85-77 win over the Sun, marking their third win in a row. Kelsey Mitchell led the charge with 20 points, while Natasha Howard delivered a strong performance, recording 18 points and 13 rebounds. The team looked dominant. With this victory, their record improved to 12-10, placing them firmly in playoff contention. Everything seemed to be going perfectly until the last minute, which changed the entire narrative.
Right here, she explodes, makes the backdoor pass, and immediately grabs the inside of that right leg.
Then, in a matter of seconds, everything took a sudden turn. Clark suddenly grabbed her groin and dropped to the floor. What seemed like a routine play quickly shifted as she winced in pain, clutching her right groin. In a heartbreaking moment, she slammed her head against the basket stanchion, overwhelmed by frustration.
She walks down to the end of the court. You can tell that she's in pain. You can tell that there's something wrong. She goes to the, what's it called, like stanchion or whatever, the thing that holds up the basketball hoop on the other end. She hits her head on it. She is fighting back tears and she walks straight over to the bench. Now, when she goes over to the bench, she starts crying. And I've honestly never seen Caitlin Clark cry on the court except when she lost the national championship game. She keeps it together no matter what is happening. But you could just tell that something happened on that play. And it was either the pain of it, it was either like, here we go again, it was frustration.
The cameras caught a heartbreaking scene that left Fever fans shaken, tears rolling down Clark's face as she sat on the bench. Her look said it all. This wasn't just tiredness or a minor ache. She was in genuine pain, and she knew it. The joy that had filled her moments earlier completely disappeared. This wasn't a new setback either. It was the very same groin trouble that had already kept her out for 5 games earlier this season. Now, with her right groin giving her trouble, concerns started to grow about whether she was overcompensating and what that might mean for her future health.
Test, but right now on the bench after looking like she is in some pain.
In an instant, the atmosphere in the arena shifted from loud celebration to stunned silence. Fever fans who had been cheering just moments before fell quiet, the mood turning heavy as everyone realized their star player was in serious trouble. What made the moment even more painful was the look on her teammates' faces. They could tell something was wrong. The worry was clear in their eyes as they watched Clark struggle. The cheers stopped immediately as all attention turned to her. Medical staff quickly rushed onto the court, but the damage to Indiana's championship hopes might have already been done. Coach Stephanie White later revealed that Clark felt a slight twinge in her groin and would need further tests. With the WNBA All-Star Game just days away in Indianapolis, where Clark was set to play and lead as team captain, the timing couldn't be worse.
We probably won't get many details about the injury, but it was honestly just so heartbreaking to see because in that moment, she just looked so defeated. And Caitlin Clark is somebody, she hides it really well. And I don't know if hiding it or she handles it is probably the right thing to say. She handles the pressure. She handles all of the media spotlight, the attention, the expectations of how she performs on the court, the expectations of the ratings for her games. She handles all of that so well. And this season has just been so tough for her when it comes to injuries.
This injury highlights a bigger issue: how the league has allowed Clark to be repeatedly targeted throughout the season. She's already missed a total of 10 games due to leg injuries, and now this new setback puts her availability in serious doubt. TO understand how things escalated. We have to rewind to where it all began. The turning point came on June 17th during a matchup against the same Connecticut Sun players. That game marked a shift in how opponents approached Clark, with the physical play crossing the boundaries of what's considered acceptable in professional basketball.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
On that day, JCS Sheldon and Marina Mabry went beyond the limits of fair play with a shocking eye poke and a forceful body check that stunned the basketball community. Sheldon's finger made direct contact with Clark's eye during what should have been standard defensive coverage, a move that felt intentional and reckless. Following that, Marina Mabry delivered a powerful body check that knocked Clark off balance. These actions were far from normal basketball plays. They came across as deliberate, targeted aggression.
And then Mabry came in with a bump.
And Mabry's day is almost assuredly going to be done. But both teams.
Here's the side of the story the cameras missed: the aftermath and how it fueled what some called a revenge game. That incident created a lasting tension between the two teams, with players not forgetting what had gone down for the Fever. The Suns' actions became a rallying point. Sophie Cunningham stepped up in true teammate fashion, standing up to Clark's aggressors. She confronted both Sheldon and Mabry right after their questionable plays, making it clear that targeting Clark wouldn't be tolerated or ignored. Cunningham's protective approach highlighted the team's unity and their determination to defend their star player at all costs.
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
The league's response to those rough plays was minimal at best, sending a message that targeting Clark was allowed to continue. Many saw the WNBA's disciplinary actions as too weak to stop future aggressive behavior. This lack of decisive action only deepened the feeling that Clark wasn't being adequately protected, neither by the referees nor by the league's leadership. Fast forward to the game in Boston, and the tension was palpable the moment both teams stepped onto the court. Players exchanged heated words during warm-ups, and the atmosphere was unlike a typical regular season game. Everyone sensed that this matchup meant more. Clark showed up with a new intensity, determined to make a statement. She attacked the basket with more force. Her passes had sharper precision, and every play felt deeply personal.
And Sheldon is going to keep the pressure on Clark. You see Tina Charles with the responsibility of guarding Aaliyah Boston. High hedge on the ball screen on Clark.
Inside perfectly.
One thing you know about Tina Charles, she has every shot in her arsenal.
Now Sheldon, the height disadvantage against Howard.
Yeah, good recognition.
Every play carried extra weight. Screens were set with more force, and glances between players lasted just a bit too long. The intensity was clear to everyone watching. Players jostled after dead balls, forcing referees to step in and break things up several times. This game had turned from a simple contest into a battle for revenge. Clark was leading the charge with fierce determination until the injury changed everything. But things were about to get even more complicated as the referee's decisions began to escalate the tension further.
Was also something where she's never battled injuries in college. She's always been something who has been a very healthy player. And this year it has been quad injury and then another quad injury and then a groin injury and now what seems to be another groin injury. Now, again, you guys, this is all from what we're seeing. We're just putting two and two together. Nothing has been confirmed, but it seems like she did re-injure her leg on that play.
This is where things took a really ugly turn. The referees didn't just overlook key calls, they actually made the situation worse. Their officiating was so poor that it overshadowed what should have been a celebration of the Fever's third consecutive win. Rather than the game itself, the conversation quickly shifted to how out of control the refs had become.
There are multiple moments in this game that were so egregiously called or there was no calls by the referees and it's getting out of control at this point. And even Caitlin Clark's brother tweeted, "This one is on the refereeing." Like, there are people in Caitlin Clark's family who are starting to call out the referees because of how bad they have been.
The officiating was so poor throughout the game that even Clark, usually composed, reached her limit. Frustration clearly grew with each possession as obvious fouls went uncalled. At one point, the cameras caught her in a tense exchange with referee Mike Price, whose words seemed to visibly rattle her. During the third quarter, Clark was seen arguing with Price as she made her way back to the bench.
I'm not a good lip reader. I'm trying.
I got it. And that was Breon January, who is played 9 years in Indiana and now on the staff. And that's a live shot now of Caitlin Clark. He's still upset and wants an explanation from Michael Price.
And maybe at the timing of when that challenge happens.
Aaliyah Boston was hit with a clear slap to the face, but the referees didn't call a foul. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham took an elbow to the back that went completely unnoticed by officials. Tina Charles even appeared to slap Boston directly in the face, yet the play wasn't reviewed. Instead of a flagrant foul, only a common foul was called, leaving everyone watching stunned.
And this was probably the worst one of them all. This is Aaliyah Boston and Tina Charles, and they are battling in the post. And then you can see Tina Charles just kind of swims around and then throws Aaliyah Boston to the ground, like punches down on her. And she's on the ground, and that was not called a flagrant one. That was called literally a common foul. You guys, hands up at this point. Like, I don't even know what the players can do because the players aren't being protected.
At the same time, Cunningham took an elbow to the head that went completely uncalled, leaving commentators and fans in disbelief.
I want to show you another play with Sophie Cunningham. So this one, she actually quote tweeted herself. As you can see, she's running up and then Hartley kind of elbows her in the neck and Sophie falls to the ground. Now she reposted this and she said, "They said I flopped, LOL." So I guess the referees told her that she flopped on that play, or the players, who knows. Somebody told her that she flopped on that play.
As the game wore on, frustration grew visible on the faces of every Fever player. The missed calls were no longer just impacting Clark. The whole team was taking hits with no penalties for their opponents. After each overlooked foul, players exchanged looks of disbelief. This wasn't an isolated incident. Referees had been allowing excessive physical play against Clark all season. Broadcast commentators even showed a montage of uncalled fouls targeting her, highlighting a troubling pattern that has become a major source of controversy.
There's been so many things, so many players calling out the referees, so many players calling out the physicality, so many players getting injured this season, from superstars to players on the bench, from season-ending injuries to rib injuries to concussions. There have been just so many things, and it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. This is a nationally televised game on ESPN, and it just doesn't get better.
It doesn't get any better. This was a nationally televised game on ESPN, yet the same issues persisted. While other star players often receive protection, Clark was repeatedly hammered play after play without any repercussions. The level of physicality she faced was noticeably harsher compared to what other marquee players endure. Hits that would usually draw immediate fouls for others were allowed to slide against her. The pattern has become so clear that even casual fans are starting to pick up on the bias. The officiating was widely criticized, with commentators and analysts calling it one of the worst they've ever seen. Instead of letting the players control the game, the referees seemed to be making it about themselves. During a heated exchange with one official, Clark's words reflected months of bottled-up frustration finally coming to the surface. Even her brother, Colin, spoke out on social media, tweeting, "Make no mistake, this is on the referees," underscoring the widespread belief that Clark isn't being adequately protected. But it was Coach Stephanie White's post-game remarks that truly shed light on what's been going on behind the scenes.
What is your description of kind of the physical battle that Caitlin particularly faces, maybe within tonight's game or just in general as you've gotten used to coaching, or just what you see she's enduring physically?
Are you trying to get me fined again?
Stephanie White entered the post-game interview with a fierce determination, clearly fed up. Her expression reflected the frustration that had been simmering all season. When asked about Clark's injury, White gave a concise but telling response. No new updates yet, just that Clark felt something in her groin. "We'll have it evaluated and take it from there," she said, leaving a lot unsaid but making it clear the situation was serious.
I mean, there's a level of physicality that they're able to play with against her. I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach. I'm not exactly sure why, but it just is what it is. And we've got to help her learn to adjust and use it against them in certain ways. We've got to find some ways to make it a little bit easier for her. But the level of physicality overall in our league has been at a different level than it's been for a long time.
Stephanie White's sharp criticism of the referees exposed a deeper, systemic issue that goes beyond just missed calls. She didn't shy away from addressing the physicality aimed at Clark, telling reporters bluntly, "I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach." Coming from someone who had faced Clark before coaching the Fever, her insight carried extra weight. Her next comment was even more revealing. "I'm not exactly sure why, but it is what it is." Those words laid bare her confusion and frustration over why Clark keeps getting targeted. It also highlighted the helplessness coaches feel when officials fail to protect their players. White didn't stop there. She dropped a major insight about the league's direction, noting that physical play in the WNBA has ramped up to levels not seen in years. This issue isn't just about one player or one game anymore. The entire league is becoming more physical, and the star players are bearing the brunt of it.
I don't know. What do we do? Do you guys have any suggestions on what can actually be done? The coaches get technicals for it. The coaches get fined when they call them out to the media. Like, this is a top-down issue. This is a commissioner's issue. And now you have a tweet that goes out from Caitlin Clark's brother that says, "Make no mistake, this is on the reffing." And this is right after she seemingly got injured again. She was getting hacked, she was getting hand checked, all of the things that we have gone over so many times, like the things that continue to happen. I just, at this point, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say about it.
White's comments confirmed what Fever fans have been voicing all season long. The league is falling short in protecting their most valuable player, and now her health could be at serious risk because of it. Her words echoed the frustrations of every fan who had seen Clark endure relentless physical play game after game. The coach was voicing what many suspected, but officials seemed unwilling to admit. This issue goes beyond just the sport itself. It's about whether Clark can maintain her health and continue the career she's worked so hard for. With the All-Star game just days away in Indianapolis, where Clark was set to compete in the three-point contest and lead as team captain, all those plans suddenly felt uncertain. The failure of the referees to enforce the rules properly has put everything on the line. White's candid remarks pulled back the curtain on a league struggling to protect its brightest star at the moment she needed it most.